Hi team, how we doing? Trips, Trippy boy, Starks, Tristan, how we doing? How have our, is it Tuesday? Monday? Monday, how have our Mondays been? It's just, is that name just UNICEF, or do you pronounce it UNICEF? Sebastian, Sergio, how are we doing? Do I like ping pong? I love ping pong, Sergio. How's everyone doing? Guys, we got a good stream coming today, I've decided. I'm letting you know. Normal ones, average, mediocre. Today's is going to be a good one. But what I'll do, whilst we wait for the masses to gather for our sick might and mastery tier list, let's play some GBL. Okay. Battle. Someone give me, does anyone want me to test anything? What have I got there? Oh, I wanted to test Shadow Lapras. That's what I wanted to test. Let's just jump in with this because I haven't thought of anything yet. You can't wait to see Swampert be the sole got alpha tier. Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about this. I think more people need to be using Swampert to end the Drapion Azumarill core on. I don't want to take it. Swamp at GB's core. Is it a tier list of all the players from the latest regional? Yeah, we should do that. We should do that instead. Oh, mirror shot. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, sand to me. Alright, what have we got? I'm hoping that was their Lapras answer and their AB Beta Lapras. Do we try and catch a Skull Bash? No. Oh, are they going to have Ice Beam? Yeah. Yes, they are. 8. It was just in case they caught. Lyle! How are we doing, Lyle? Can we play chess? Uh-oh. Let me back into Lapras. I didn't want to throw another Bullet Seed because I wanted to get straight back into Lapras as soon as I could. Is everyone home from Vancouver now? Sergio, Lyle? You've been working. What does Shadow Lapras do better? I assume, Sergio, your question is better than regular Lapras. And the answer is, that is why we're testing it, okay? Because we haven't yet decided. Sergio, you know this. I asked this in our chat earlier today. I was asking Joe what he thinks the benefit of a Shadow might be, because I haven't really looked at it. And it does look cooler. It does look cooler. Anything else you want me to test? I did that team already. Great League. Do we want to test anything particular? Three in the finals. Nice, Starks. Very, very nice. Oh, low kicks I wanted to play. What about a low kicks? What team works? Sylveon? Pidgeot. No, I don't have either of those with new attacks yet. And I don't have any charged TMs left. We can do Florges. This works. We lose to Talonflame. Low kicks, Overheat, Wheezing, Core. Okay, as long as we don't see Talonflame in the lead, we're fine. Pidgeot is Legacy. Harry, thank you for following. About time. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I do more damage than you do, so I can take this. Oh, where was the sludge? Oh, question mark. Big fan. Can you ban him? If he misbehaves, you can ban him, yes. Watch this catch, guys. Insane. That's crazy. We don't need to take the Incinerate damage. The Swampert still has 40 energy, but it shouldn't be able to take us out. Ah, Trip, thanks very much for the sub. Appreciate you, dude. You love ads. Ooh. 6. Oh wait, we've got a low kicks and a shield. Easy. But can we Psy-Wave down? Okay, Sparkling Area paces quite quickly. Nice, nice. I haven't really used Lapras much yet. You made a Might and Mastery tier list? Okay, Swilus, we can compare notes. When's the tier list? After this set. I'm just finishing this set. And then... Oh, well, that wasn't the team I was supposed to be going in with. Oh well, we'll just play it. You're yet to post it anywhere? Okay, well, let's do this one. Yeah, so my tier list is of like most skillful players in the Might and Mastery season, based on what I think your ability is to deal with the Might and Mastery season. I can't win this. We have a problem with this Pokemon. The irony. The irony. All right, Sergio and Trip, calm. We'll be okay. This is gonna run Stone Edge, isn't it? Because I imagine this is designed to bait out the Lapras, but have Stone Edge for it. Will Pangoro win a regional this season? Probably not. Probably not. Oh, it's even worse. He's not gonna, is he gonna run Sludge Bomb and Stone Edge? If he stays in. I don't think I'm gonna win this. Nope, he's got Energy Ball. We're in trouble. Didn't even reach the Skull Bash. Six. Okay. My win con is he tries to catch. No, if he's got Aerial Ace, I lose. Why did he not try and catch on Clodsire? I don't think I can do anything there. I don't think I can do anything there. Sameep, how are we doing? Are you back? Were you working today? All right, we got one more battle or... Oh no, two more. Two more battles. Let's go back to this one. And then tier list time. And we're solely tier listing the dress sense of the European players this season in the Might and Mastery update. You're at work. Okay, just so you know, I've got just over 100 Pokemon for the tier list. I don't think Pidgeot even made that 100 Pokemon. I'm scanning for it now and I can't see it. So Lyle, we're not running Pidgeot. This is not what we wanted to see either. I don't think I do have Pidgeot. Oh no, we do have a Pidgeot. We do have a Pidgeot. Okay, surely you Thunder Punch me here. Thunder Punch. What? Florges? I thought reasonably I would hold on to a Thunder Punch there. I lose, I think. Not tanking that Thunder Punch was pretty bad. Bear that in mind for our tier list. Not good. Last game. Let's use... Okay. If we win with Roserade, I want you to bear that in mind when we do tier list, okay? Bear that in mind. Big lead. Big lead. This is a good lead. We're always going to shield one. I think we assume that they're not going to overfarm on the second one, so I'll do 2 Poison Stings. And now they're 3 away again. Which means they need to switch out or be farmed down. We're not going to try and tank an X-Scissor. I don't need to do that. We'll tank something else later. Okay, we didn't quite get the farm down, which isn't ideal. Hold on a minute. Because they let me sucker punch down that charger bug, I reached the rock tomb before they reached their attack. Which is pretty big. And they're giving up energy here. We could probably lose. If this is I mean, we're Shadow, so we probably lose. Ooh, hold. I have to let this go. Maybe I should have CMP'd but undercharged. No, I should have CMP'd but undercharged. Ha! Ha! Easy. Easy. Never in doubt. Okay. Whew, I'm out of practice. Guys, I think it's time to tier list. Blastoise. Cracked. Shadow Blastoise. Was that one shiny as well? I think that was a shiny one. Okay. Team, are we ready for a tier list? Let's go take a look to something I prepared earlier. We have, I believe, 102, maybe 102 Pokemon here. We've got 102 Pokemon from the Might and Mastery season that I think are not all viable in Play Pokemon Show 6, but people might ask, are they viable? So I think that this is a good number of Pokemon to allow us to have S tier, A tier, but also to have a healthy number of Pokemon in that D tier and F tier. And for anyone that can't see the descriptions that we've got there, let me just read them out to you. So we've got S, this is our top of the meta, right? This is obviously, you're seeing them in the top usage. You're also seeing them regularly get medal positions, winning events, but also shaping a lot of the meta, right? Forming really strong cores and being Pokemon that people really need to think about. Next is our A tier. This is always top usage or a medal placement. So we're always seeing them in the top usage, but if we don't see them in the top usage, we're still regularly seeing them getting medals. So, for example, you know how Shadow Kanto Marowak last season wasn't always in top usage because it wasn't accessible at the time, but we were regularly seeing it winning or getting medals. Third is B tier. This is rarely top usage, but frequently day 2. Does that make sense? It's rarely in the top usage, but they will very frequently make day 2. C tier. It's never in the top usage. And it doesn't really make day 2. You might see the odd one or two, but it's not really making day 2, and it is never making top usage. D tier, this is almost never making day 2, but you might see one on day 1. Right, but you're not going to see one on day 2. Probably not going to see one on day 2. And then F tier, we don't have an E tier, it's just the F tier. Let's just leave this one at home. All right, if you're expecting or hoping to win games, just leave this pick at home. Are we happy? Are we content with those as our tiers? Let's get ranking. The way that we're going to start is we've just got them. It looks like we've just got them in alphabetical order here. I will put them maybe where I think that they should go, And if there's uproar, tell me, and we can have that discussion. And we'll just put them into the tiers where the rows aren't ordered, but we might be able to, once we've got more Pokemon in, shift some around. So we might be able to put some towards the top of A tier or the bottom of B tier, for example. Okay, team, what are we thinking? So if we start, do you know what I'll do is I'll start placing some, and then maybe from that conversation we can discuss what we agree that these are being placed into. Are we considering non-shadow and shadow variants together? Let's consider, why don't, for the purposes of this, because there would be too many sprites if I had shadows and non-shadows, and I don't actually have those sprites. So what we'll do is we will rank them based on what we think their better performing variant is. So, for example, Sableye, we can collectively say that we're referring to the shadow variant, and we'll rank the shadow variant. And in conversation, we can discuss maybe whether non-shadow goes, but for the final tier list, we won't see that. So that'll be something that you guys and I will have that conversation. Okay, so we'll start with Abomasnow. Abomasnow, I don't think that this is making day 2 very often. It might occasionally make a day 2, but I don't think that this is making a day 2, but you might see one in day 1. I think especially with rises in Rock Tomb and just the neutral pressure from so many Pokemon, I think that Abomasnow is D tier. Altaria, I think the exact same. I think that it now does have Dazzling Gleam, which is the same energy as Sky Attack, but its first attack is still 55 energy. That's too slow in the current meta, so I'm going to put it in D tier as well. Amoonguss, bit of a trend. Foul Play is a little bit cheaper for it, but it's just not got stab damage output to make it relevant yet. I think maybe if they buff Giga Drain, for example, and give that an effect, then it might have more niche, but right now, as a grass poison type, there are better options available. D tier as well. And now we're reaching the first Pokemon where it's maybe a bit of a conversation. Because Annihilate, we know, was top 4 usage at EUIC and for much of last season, and would have been very much S tier last season, or definitely high A tier. For me, this season, I think that Annihilate is going to be a C tier Pokemon. I think that the number of Pokemon available to hit as a fighter is reducing in terms of Pokemon that really struggle against Annihilate. And I think that the Pokemon that do take super effective from counter can often hit Annihilate back. And Annihilate really doesn't want to be hit back. Annihilate wants to punish. Annihilate wants to catch something, even like a Dugong or something. Annihilate wants to catch it and he wants to punish it. And too many of its targets right now can hit it back, that it doesn't have the bulk to deal with those types of things. And Rage Fist is quick, but it's not quick enough. Particularly when Rage Fist is resisted by half of its dark targets. Araquanid. What do we think about Araquanid? Where would we put Araquanid? Because I think at the moment, Araquanid is honestly close to F, but probably D tier. And I think, Zweilous, you've got it spot on there. It's so outclassed by Golisopod that if someone's bringing an Araquanid, you're really begging the question why. And that's why I'm saying it's very low down. Very low down. Arctibax, probably running Ice Fang. That would give it a niche. I don't think it's niche enough. I think it's still making D tier, and I think we're going to probably see quite a lot of D tier Pokemon. We do have 102 Pokemon, like we said, so a lot of D tier is expected, because most Pokemon, right? Most Pokemon will never make day 2, but you might see them on day 1. You might. Ariados. This was another popular Pokemon from last season. Unfortunately, I think it's facing the same fate as Annihilate. I don't personally think this is the meta for it. I think it's C tier. I'm open to discussion for it maybe going to B tier, but I really don't think it will. I don't think it will when as we've said, Rock Tomb is common. It's no longer one of the fastest pacing Pokemon because so many Pokemon are now pacing to 5, so it's not being able to counter swap. As we know and we'll see, Azumarill's not going to be as high as it once was, and so one of its key targets is going down. And I'm going to leave it here for now, but maybe when we see more Pokemon, we can have that discussion as to whether we would change it. Sergio, Annihilate just doesn't have the targets, and those that it can target can hit it back. And it doesn't have the bulk. So many Pokemon now have Ghost Pressure. So many Pokemon are being targeted. So many Ghost Pokemon will be targeted. Annihilate's just too easy to target. It's not got enough targets itself versus the number of Pokemon that can hit it back. Armarouge? Any thoughts on Armarouge? I don't think we'll see many. If you've got your research Charcadet, see if you can do a trade with a local. I don't think you're ever really going to see it in day 2. I think you probably will see one in day 1 because it's a gimmick, right? It's something that's if someone had one and they weren't expecting to get to day 2, they might say, hey, do you know what? For fun, I'll bring an Armarouge. It's the kind of Pokemon that someone like an Adequance makes day 2 at an international championships with. Put it that way. Right. Azumarill. In my humble opinion, think that Azumarill, over the course of this season, will average here. I think Azumarill is a B tier Pokemon. I think it is very, very quickly going to fall out of top usage. Near immediately fall out of top usage. But I think it'll make day 2s, right? Because it is very easily the final piece of a puzzle for a team. It's very easily the final puzzle piece. But there's just so many Pokemon that can tank its attacks, that are dealing much spammier pressure onto it, and just really aren't threatened by Ice Beam Play Rough. We know we've got Lapras obviously to come later, but Lapras is a key example of a Pokemon where Azumarill is just far too slow. And with Rock Tomb, there's one thing that Azumarill doesn't like, and this is one thing. If there's anything to take away from Azumarill, it's this. So listen to this. Azumarill, alongside when Umbreon was popular, they pace very slowly and have very little fast attack pressure. They really cannot deal with being debuffed. And the reason why Azumarill didn't mind so much last season and earlier this year is because the primary bulky debuffer that we had was Dugong. And so at least Azumarill wasn't taking even neutral damage from that debuff. Now that we have so many Rock Tomb users, and Rock Tomb is a great attack, you leave that Azumarill, it is just ripe for the picking. And not only that, you're also dealing with Pokemon that have Trailblaze. And so you can potentially debuff an Azumarill such that it's giving no damage output. You're either boosting through an Azumarill, or even if you're something like a Sableye, because you've now had better pacing, if you've got shields, you will just whittle your way through an Azumarill. Golisopod beats it in 2s. We know Feraligator's always beaten it. Shadow Drapion's beating it with shields up. Sableye's beating it with shields up. So many of these neutral Pokemon, exactly Sergio, are just having a free setup against something that is just too slow in this meta. Will it still be around? Yes. Yes, you will definitely still see it, because like I said, it is a Water Fairy type Pokemon with unrivaled bulk. But it's just nothing on what it used to be. Nothing on what it used to be. Bastiodon. What do you think about Bastiodon? Because I think Bastiodon is maybe a little bit more open now than it was in the last meta. I think Bastiodon will benefit from less Mudslap, less counter, and so I think Bastiodon is a lot more playable. I think Bastiodon for this season will settle at top of C, bottom of B. I'm gonna put it into B for now. I think maybe bottom of a B tier, just because there will be people that start to build teams and disrespect it, and there will be teams that operate near perfectly with only 4 to 5 Pokemon, and then you just chuck Bastiodon in that last slot, and you say, I'll just use this if someone has disrespected it and it's 4 or 5 times strong against someone. So if you have like 3 or 4 Pokemon that are flexible, that you know a Golisopod, for example, that's resisting both Counter and Mud Slap, and you're really just looking for something in that last slot, you could just chuck Bastiodon in there. We'll see. As we go further into the list, let's see if we would adjust any of these. Right, this is all provisional. We can have that conversation. Okay, Bellibolt. I really tried to make this work. I really tested this in GBL. It's just not there. It's really just not there. I don't think that it will ever really see play. I think it might occasionally feature in day 1 just because someone might like the idea of using Bellibolt, but this is, again, bottom of D tier. It probably will be F tier, but for the fact that it's new, right? But for the fact that it offers something a little bit different. This is not a Pokemon that has much play in Great League. It is better for Ultra League. Bibarel, as I've been told it's supposed to be pronounced, Bibarel. It no longer has some of its targets that it benefited from. It's not got the bulk to deal with much of the meta at the moment. I think Bibarel is also going to be in D tier now. Blastoise. Right, this is one of our more exciting Pokemon. And I think that Blastoise has a number of options. You can run the regular, you can run the Shadow, you can run Skull Bash or Ice Beam. I think Skull Bash is preferable. And just from an energy synergy perspective, I want you to think about this. 75 energy for a Skull Bash. Right? 75 energy for a Skull Bash. Rollout gives 13 energy. And 6 rollouts is 78 energy. So you get residual of 3. 3 rollouts is 39 energy, with Hydro Cannon being 40 energy. So if you do 1 Skull Bash, your next 3 Hydro Cannons will each be only 3 rollouts. And that's quite useful, because a lot of the time, especially with shields up, you might want to be skull bashing anyway, right? You might want to hit hard and say, you either give me your shield, but regardless, I'm going to get a defense buff. And then from that point onwards, you're just 3 rollouts to every Hydro Cannon, which is really good. So I think that Blastoise is probably at the very, very top of B tier, but probably A tier now. Will it be top usage? I'm not sure. I think it has a ton of play, but will it definitely be in top usage? Will it always be in top usage? Will Blastoise always be in top usage? And that's where I'm a bit unsure. Because I think we'll see tons of it. But does everyone use Blastoise enough? There's too many water options. And for that reason, I'm going to provisionally put it in B tier. But I think it's the very top of B tier. But I don't think it will always be in top usage. Like I said, this is just alphabetical for now. We'll rank it later. Trip, we can decide later, just because I think that there are Pokemon that I would put in A tier, and once we see them, we can maybe have that discussion. Henry, the reason why I've put Bastiodon there is because I think it's right at the bottom of B tier, maybe top of C tier, but I think that people will start to build teams that disrespect it, and as people lean into Pokemon, which we'll come on to, Lapras, Lokix, Golisopod, whatever it is, Pokemon that have fairy coverage, I think that there might be teams where Bastiodon as a final pick could just cause people problems. That's the only reason why I think that it might get a few day twos. Maybe not in Europe, but maybe in some other regions. Okay, Bombardier. I think that Bombardier's got a massive buff, but it just is not enough. It doesn't have the bulk for its pacing, and I think that it is probably a D tier Pokemon. Unless it gets a much cheaper attack. 45 is too slow for a Pokemon with its bulk, where there are better options available in the form of Mandibuzz. Carbink. What do you think about Carbink? I think some people have said that Carbink is going to have more play. I think it will have more play. I don't think it's going to be any higher than C tier, personally. I don't think it's going to be any higher than C tier. Chargebug. What do we think about Chargebug in this meta? Chargebug can cause a lot of problems. Okay, do you know what, Zweilous? Let's bring Bastiodon back down to B tier for a bit. Let's bring Bastiodon back down to B tier, okay? Chargebug A tier? No way. No way. Chargebug, I think, high C tier. Might verge on B tier. I'm willing to put it in B tier for now because I think over the average of the season, we will see it frequently in day 2. I don't think it's making top usage, but it does have good roll compression. But I think it will you'll very quickly realize that it shares that Rock Tomb weakness with other Pokemon on your team that you would rather have those Pokemon than have Chargebug, I think. But we'll put it here for now. Claydol! Guys, Claydol, finally usable. It's not got brilliant typing. Defensively, it's not got brilliant typing. But people are starting to unlock a few teams with it, which is interesting. I've tried it a little bit. It is fun. But it's not always that comfortable. And I think that it will make some day 2s. But I don't think it's going to be as frequent as some players currently think. And so I would lean towards Claydol in C tier. I don't think it's ever making top usage. Do we agree? It's never making top usage. But I think its weaknesses, it just shares. You can't be, Psychic. You're obviously weak to a lot of the Ghost and the Dark pressure, and there's just way too much water and ice pressure around as well. There's grass pressure as well. There's obviously tons of flyers that can weave in and out of it. Obviously, it does have Rock Tomb as well, but everything's prepared to be hit by Rock Tombs, and if anything, it's one of the slower Rock Tomb users. It will do better than Basti or Bink ever will. Maybe. I do think the meta will settle very differently from what you're currently seeing in some of your practice tournaments. So I wouldn't jump the gun just because it's seeing usage in practice right now. Clefable. What do we think about Clefable? Clefable has access to the cheaper Dazzling Gleam now. It still has access to Moonblast, which is a great attack. But I think that if you are going to use Clefable, you should be using Meteor Mash. Because if you are using it for its fairy coverage, there are other fairies to use. But people talk about Galarian Weezing being the fairy that beats other fairies. No, Clefable is the fairy that beats other fairies. Not only that, it also beats Cradily. And we will talk about a Cradily Sableye core later. But because of Clefable's play into that core, I'm going to put it into C tier instead of D tier. Because I do think that you will occasionally see a Clefable make day 2 in this season. All right, 0 Clefable day 2s. Guys, come on. This is part of the fun of the tier list, right? is that we get to make these bold assumptions and predictions, and I think that someone somewhere will find a Meteor Mash Clefable will core break a lot of teams. It resists Sucker Punch, it hits Cradley for super effective, it's doing super effective, putting super effective pressure onto a Sableye as well. So I think that Clefable could make day 2. Yeah, that's fine. I think there are worse takes out there than Clefable being a C tier Pokemon, right? I think we can agree on that at least. Maybe here's one of them, guys, because I'm about to give you what I think is our first A tier Pokemon, and that is Clodsire. And the reason is because its bulk is immense, and I think that it can shift to Stone Edge if Talonflame becomes popular. But it really can help round out a team. There are so many Pokemon that are flexible, that are spammy, that are probably a little bit squishy. And when you just need some defensive bulk, some defensive coverage, poison ground with access to Stone Edge, I think that Stone Edge, Clodsire, probably Stone Edge rather than Sludge Bomb in this meta, is going to be A tier. And part of that reasoning is why something like Charjabug is not in A tier for me. All right, I know that some of you guys think Charjabug maybe could have been higher, but because I think Clodsire will make a return, then I think Clodsire is holding down a lot of those other Pokemon. And I'm happy to leave, for the record, I'm happy to leave Bastiodon in C tier, and Carbink as well. Megahorn Clodsire, I'm not sure about that. Okay, Galarian Corsola. I know that in previous tier lists, people have been saying, why would you ever use any other ghost type over Galarian Corsola? Not in my opinion. I think that Corsola is going to really, really struggle in this season. And I think that Galarian Corsola is probably going to fall off entirely. And I will put Galarian Corsola into C tier for that reason. The Astonish damage is good, but lots of Pokemon have like Shadow Dusknoir has Astonish if you want that pressure. And the Nightshade nerf was heavy, and I just think that if you want pure Ghost typing and you want to be able to hit back against flyers, just use Dusclops. Just use Dusclops. Corviknight, guys, where do we think Corviknight is? Corviknight has brilliant defensive typing. We know it neutrally wasn't as strong as some of us wanted it to be. But I think that Corviknight still has some utility. And I think that Corviknight, because of its defensive properties, is also a C tier Pokemon. Are we ready? Guys, we're now at Cradley. And I said this, for those of you that listened to the panel discussion right at the beginning of the season, just before the season really dropped. This is your first S tier Pokemon. This Pokemon has so much play into nearly everything. Everything. It has over 2100 stat product. It has very energy efficient pacing. With the Bullet Seeds, they're not doing a lot of damage, but they are going very neatly into its 2 charge attacks. It is a grass type that is able to hit back against the Pokemon that usually do ice type damage against it, and the Pokemon that do fire type damage against it as a grass. It is able to give itself so much bulk by debuffing its opponents, right? It ends up feeling so bulky when it's against debuffed Pokemon. It is able to hold on. It has insane staying power. Even in a negative matchup, it has staying power. It can Rock Tomb, and in a 50-second switch timer, you can Rock Tomb, hold on, and you can switch back out. So I think the Cradley will be absolutely superb. I would personally lean towards non-Shadow. And the reason is because I want it to be bulky and I want it to have that staying power. And I think I'm going to be pairing it, if I were playing, with some faster, spammier, squishier Pokemon. And I want to preserve some of my shields for those. And ideally, whilst I will be shielding Cradley because I think it might have utility in getting off that second Rock Tomb, that third Rock Tomb, I don't want to be forced to shield it. And you might be forced to shield a Shadow. Cresselia. It's been a long time since we've seen a Cresselia. It is very bulky. It does have reasonable coverage. I don't think we're really going to see much Cresselia. Maxwell, we can come on to that in a sec. I think Cresselia is probably bottom of C tier. Probably bottom of C tier. So, for those of you that are joining more recently and you're wondering why is there an Annihilate in C tier? C tier, which we've defined as it's never in top usage and it's rarely in day 2. Right, so let's take that bit by bit. Never in top usage. Guys, it didn't even make top usage in Vancouver, which was a half meta before all the Psywave users came in, right? Before your Sableye became popular. Will it be day 2, frequently or rarely? That's the next question. And the fact is that a lot of its targets, normal Pokemon, dark type Pokemon, hit it back. It's not really walling a lot at this point because the primary normal is no longer a quick attack user in Diggersby or a rollout user in Dunsparce. No. You're now looking at Sucker Punch users. You're looking at dark types with Hex, with Astonish. You're looking at a lot more Shadow Claw users. Yes, you've got a big target in Cradley, but Cradley's core partner that we'll come on to really punishes the Annihilate. And even the other fighters, we've seen Primeape doing very, very well at EUIC. Did an Annihilate make top 3 at EUIC? That's my question. It just is being targeted all over the place at this point, and I don't think that this meta is as ripe for it as some people might think it is. So it's going to be C tier, probably the top of C tier. Probably the top of C tier, but we're talking about B tier being rarely top usage. I just don't think Annihilate's really going to be top usage. EUIC is a bad reference. Vancouver's a bad reference. You know, you see what I'm saying, right? Like Annihilate it's an easy target, and it just is going to be targeted inadvertently by so many Pokemon that are actually looking to target something else, right? You're going, oh, I want my Fairy type coverage to manage the Sableye. Oh, we also cover Annihilate with that. Oh, I want my flying type coverage because I want to use this Shadow Jumpluff or my Emolga or whatever it is. Okay, cool. We also tick off Annihilate with that. So I think it's just going to fall victim to a little bit of that in team building this season. Dugong, I think, is unfortunately in a very similar position. And I think that Dugong has maybe had its last major tournament, and with so many other bulky waters coming in, Dugong also, with Annihilate, with Ariados, with Corsola, drops to C tier. Will it make day 2s? Yeah, here and there, sure. But is it going to be top usage? Not anymore. Which is crazy, because it was top usage at Vancouver. But almost certainly not anymore. Diggersby is actually another one that I think drops down into C tier. I think Diggersby no longer has the need that it had. So yeah, maybe top of C tier, but for me, C tier. Its primary target was Corsola. It really rose when Corsola was there because it hard-walled it. But now, there's a big problem for it. And the big problem for it is that it, firstly, is not walling ghost types. Dusklops running Ice Punch beats it. Dusk Noir running Dynamic Punch beats it. And even the alternative normal type in the meta, Furret, with Sucker Punch Trailblaze, beats it. But there's one Pokemon that we've discussed previously on a stream that is an embarrassing loss for Diggersby, and that is Spiritomb. Spiritomb, with resisted charge attacks only, right? Only has Shadow Ball and Rock Tomb, absolutely dominates Diggersby. Absolutely dominates it. If you shield one Scorching Sands, the first Scorching Sands and land a Rock Tomb, you can then Sucker Punch the whole way down, right? That's a resisted Rock Tomb, but then Sucker Punches. And that's because Sucker Punch is doing 6 damage, 7 damage to the Diggersby around that mark, whilst Diggersby is doing 1 damage with Quick Attack. And you realise that it's the Quick Attack, the lack of pressure from the Fast Attack, that is going to let Diggersby down. And if you shift to Mudshot, your pacing is just really outclassed by so much. You start to drop a lot of the matchups that Diggersby really needed to win as well. Its matchup into, for Alligator, for example, it needed Quick Attack. It needs that certain pacing. So, sorry, the Quick Attack and Mudshot have the same pacing. It loses that coverage. Sorry, it loses the coverage pacing into a lot of the Pokemon that it was basically able to whittle down from lack of damage. So the Quick Attack was, for example, you were Fire Punching through a Mandibuzz, you were Fire Punching through a Jumpluff, and the Quick Attack meant that you only needed a certain number, and now you need more than that, right? So you lose your ability to take out something in 3 Mudshots, 3 Fire Punches or 4 Fire Punches. You now can't do that because Mudshot is resisted by a lot more, and I don't know. Maybe there's argument for B tier, but I don't think Diggersby is going to have anywhere near the play that it used to have. Yeah, this is the thing. Diggersby had play into Golisopod because of Quick Attack Fire Punches, but with Mudshots, it's struggling. It's just struggling. Dragalge. What do we think about Dragalge? It now has Sludge Bomb. Dragalge with Sludge Bomb and Aqua Tail. D tier. I think D tier. Yeah, it's a D tier Pokemon. Hakamo's not on this list, is it? I don't think I've got a Hakamo here. Hakamo would probably also be D tier if it were here. Can I zoom in a bit? I can maybe now, yeah. Let me try and zoom in a tiny bit. As we reduce our Pokemon, we can zoom in more and more. Okay, Dragapult, anyone? Any views on Dragapult? What are our views on Dragapult? D tier? Do you reckon you'll even see one in day 1? I don't know if we'll even see one in day 1 anymore. Let's put Dragapult in D tier, but only just. Only just. Dragonair, I think, is also D tier. More D tier than anything else. Maxwell, are you okay with Arachnid being in D tier? Yeah. Okay. I think Dragonite is also D tier. Higher than Dragonair. It's got more utility than Dragonair. And I think it could push into C tier. I think the only reason it struggles is because its pacing is slower. And it can't take out Rock Tomb users anywhere near as easily as it would want to. So I think higher in D tier than Dragonair. But you might see one in day 1. And you might see a Dragonair in day 1. You might see a Dragonair in day 1, right? Shadow Drapion. What do we think? Any discussion? Can there be any discussion? I don't think there can. I think it's still S tier. I don't think it's going to have quite the same usage that it had last season because it's best core partner. And yeah, it's a good point, Maxwell. I think that you can now start to think about Shadow or regular Drapion. You don't even need to run Shadow Drapion anymore. There is an advantage of running non-Shadow Drapion, and that is you take 1 damage from Psywave. Current Shadow Drapion takes 2 damage from a Lapras Psywave, so in effect, its resistance of Psychic is non-existent, because 2 damage is what it does to most Pokemon. Many Pokemon take 2 damage from Psywave that don't resist Psychic type damage, so Drapion doesn't really benefit from being a Dark type versus Psywave users because it still takes 2. However, the regular one only takes 1. Is there an argument to put Sludge Bomb on non-Shadow? Probably not. I don't think you want to lose that Aqua Tail pacing. I think one of the reasons why Drapion is S tier is because of the pacing, and I think if you put Sludge Bomb on it, it's just not an S tier Pokemon. That's all I'd say. Yeah, Claydol is C tier. It's never being top usage. We know it's not going to be top usage. Drifblim. What do we think about Drifblim? For me, Drifblim is no, not B tier. What do you mean B tier? I'm tempted to put it in D tier here. I'm tempted by D tier. I'm tempted by high D tier. I really don't think you're seeing many Drifblim make day 2. There are just better options. I think Drifblim goes in D tier for me. And I think Dunsparce, as much as I would absolutely love to put Dunsparce in F tier, I'll let you have D tier for Dunsparce as well. That loss of rollout damage hurts it. I think that it just cannot cope with being debuffed. It will really struggle. I don't think you should be bringing Dunsparce. Dusclops. This is going to be controversial, guys. This is going to be controversial. C tier? You think Dusclops is C tier? I think Dusclops has argument to verge on A tier. I think there is argument to verge on A tier. It is so bulky, and if you're running Shadow, it can start to put out decent damage. And it has great coverage with Ice Punch. You can't say the only thing keeping it from A tier is that it's XL. That doesn't work. No. I think when you think about what it resists, it's got 2 double resistances. I personally wouldn't run the Poltergeist regular. I think the pacing is just too nuts. Hex into Shadow Punches for that consistent damage that allows you to spam and switch if you need to. Because we're talking about Pokemon. When we talk about bulky Pokemon, part of what we're thinking about is for the purposes of Show 6, where so many people will complain about getting RPS'd. If you're in a negative matchup, what can you do about it? Right? What can you do about being in a negative matchup? And I think that because of the pacing of Shadow Punch, because your ability to snipe, to get that last Shadow Punch that your opponent has missed, and they don't realize you've got that extra one. I think Dusclops, probably Shadow. I'm going to put provisionally into the A tier because I think it will help certain teams round out. But we could move it down to the B tier from some more conversation. You don't think Dusclops will be top usage? What do you think? Okay, Xylis. Ghost types are almost always in top usage, right? Ghost types are almost always in top usage. What ghost type that's bulky is in top usage. Because I think Sableye is obviously going to be in top usage, right? Sableye will obviously be in top usage. But there are lots of teams that benefit or could benefit from running double Ghost, where your Ghosts have coverage. So you could run a team with Sableye Dusclops. You'll definitely see that in GBL. And I think that you think Dusk Noir is way more accessible and arguably as strong. Okay, let's pull Dusclops back down to B tier then. And so would you put Dusk Noir also in B tier? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying Dusk Noir would also make B tier? Yeah. Hex or Astonish Noir? Yes. I like Astonish. I like the Shadow Astonish pressure and the synergy between Shadow Punch, Astonish, Shadow Punch, and Dynamic Punch. I think we'll see a lot of Dusclops. I see what you're saying. They'll hinder each other's usage, but I think... Lyle, what do you think? Lyle, tell me what you think. What do you think about Dusclops versus Dusk Noir? Because this is causing lots of discussion. Dusk Noir more for GBL, Dusclops for Show 6, some people saying. I don't think that's unfair. B is frequent day 2, but B is also rarely top usage, and I do think that Dusclops will make top usage. Is the only reason I'm unsure. Is I think that Dusclops will just be in top usage. And when we're talking about not that bulky, it's got over 2,200 stat product. Over 2,200 stat product, which is pretty bulky. Pretty bulky. Lyle Jeffs, 3 times regional champion, says Dynamic Punch is better coverage, but Clops is bulkier, and we know bulk is king in Show 6. Guys, I am going to put... I think... Why does Dusclops lose the 1-2s versus Cradley? Okay, maybe let's have a look. I'm just going to have a quick check of that matchup. Let me see how Cradley does against Dusclops. Okay, Shadow Dusclops just loses all even shields because of the residual Rock Tomb. Normal Dusclops, or the regular Dusclops, loses even more shield scenarios. So I do think Shadow could be an option. You want to put Clops B and Dusk Noir high C. Never top usage, rarely top... Okay, I think I can accept that. I think I would personally have Dusclops as a higher tier than Dusk Noir. And if you feel that that's BC rather than AB, I can accept that. Can we accept this? Right. Emolga! Emolga, anyone? What are our thoughts on Emolga? I think Emolga is a B tier Pokemon. I think it's probably B. I think we'll see. I think we'll see it. For Alligator, probably also B tier now. Probably also B tier. It can't counter swap anywhere near as easily as it used to be able to. I think it's probably B tier now. Florges. What do we think of Florges with Moonblast and Trailblaze? C, F, D, C, I think. Florges, never top usage, and rarely day 2 is probably right. C tier for Florges. Okay, Fortress! Here's a big one for you. What do we think of Fortress? Fortress with Rock Tomb. Guys, I think Fortress is going to be in the B tier. And I think that we will see Fortress. It will really compress teams. We talk about team compression. I think the steel typing on a Fortress is going to be very useful. It will never be top usage. It says rarely top usage. I think that as people... Pineco's been spawning, by the way. That's not an accident, right? Pineco's been spawning. I do think Fortress will be a frequent day 2 Pokemon. Furret. Furret low B? No, San Diego. No. Where do we think Furret goes? S tier? Possibly. Furret, I think, will be extremely strong. I think it's probably the best or second best normal at the moment. Maybe not top of the meta, but I think you're going to be getting medals with Furret. And I think when people realize how good Furret is, you will see a lot. Furret is not bad. Furret is very good. Furret is very, very good. And if you have not been using it properly, practice with it more. Because when you unlock Furret, you will see that it's so useful. So useful. Its coverage is really strong. Its ability to boost itself, its pacing to spam, it's reasonably bulky. I would be bringing Furret in for my next Show 6 tournament. I would be bringing Furret. Gallade. What do we think about Gallade? It can hit Cradley. Super effective. Close combat damage. Yeah. Let's leave Gallade at home, team. Let's leave Gallade at home. I think it needs a lot of help. It's an interesting coverage option, but it's just not even close to play Pokemon viable at this point. Gastrodon. We've just seen Gastrodon win 2 regionals in one day. Where is Gastrodon placing in this meta? Someone says between S and A. I think between S and A is probably too high. I would probably say, given Cradley, it's going to be difficult to put Gastrodon higher than B. So the question for me is it B or C? Are we expecting Gastrodon in top usage? Are we expecting it frequently in day 2? What do we think? B or C? Cradley doesn't resist ground, so there's still a lot of play with shields up. Yes, but it does resist normal. So it resists body slam. And it outpaces to an attack that one-shots. And Bullet Seed is a bad attack unless you're against Cradley. Sorry, unless you're against Gastrodon, right? Cradley, Bullet Seed into Gastrodon does a lot. You can probably just go Rock Tombs with the... If you shield an Earth Power, you could just Rock Tomb and Bullet Seed at that point. So... You want it in C tier because that's where you put the Mud Slapper that's better than Gastrodon? I don't think it really is, but... I'm tempted by... Okay, Xylus, for that comment, I am happy to accept B tier for that comment alone. Yeah, I'm a B tier Pokemon. I think it can have... I think being able to counter swap the Shadow Drapion can be useful. Golisopod. What do we think about Golisopod? Does Golisopod have the same prominence that it had when Azumarill, Annihilate, and Dugong have all fallen off? What do we think? A tier, C tier, B tier, Golisopod. It's not going to be top of the meta. Is it always going to be in top usage or a medal? I don't think it is. I think it's rarely going to be in top usage, but frequently in day 2. Right? I think it's an awesome Pokemon. Oops. I think it's an awesome Pokemon. But I think that it is one of the Pokemon that will support a shift away from last season's meta. It will help the transition towards the new meta because it will punish any residual Dugong. It punishes Annihilate. It punishes a lot of Pokemon that are trying to swap into what they think they can deal with a Golisopod, and then all of a sudden Aquajet does a lot more damage than they realised. But I think as an average across the whole season, it's not going to be top usage or medal placements in the same way. So I think B tier is probably okay for that. Golurk. Big boy mud slap Golurk. Where are we placing Golurk? F is harsh. F is harsh. Let's put it in D tier. Yeah, let's put it in D tier. It's a mud slapper with Shadow Punch and Dynamic Punch. And I think you'll occasionally see it on day 1. So, there we go. Goodra. I don't think Goodra is going to be too uncontroversial for Goodra. What do we think for Goodra? I think most of you are spot on. Goodra is very much not top usage, rarely day 2. Yeah. C. Greninja. This is an interesting one. What do we think about Greninja? One of few Pokemon that can wall Shadow Drapion's charge attack energy. One of few Pokemon that's taking 1 damage from Psywave and beating Lapras. One of few Pokemon that can really beat Sableye. I think Greninja is going to have play. I think Greninja is going to have play. It's never going to be top usage, right? Crunch doesn't leave you in sting damage. Yeah, it's never going to be top usage. I don't think it's going to frequently be in day 2. So I think C tier is probably correct. But it is strong. It is strong. Grumpig. Where are we placing Grumpig? Grumpig has received one of the biggest buffs it could have ever asked for. But where does it place now? For show 6 purposes, where does Grumpig place? What do we think? Low B, high C, B, A in a meta where Drapion is dead. Well, Drapion's not dead. I don't think Grumpig is really going to be in top usage. So I don't think it can be A tier. Is it frequently going to be in day 2? Or is it rarely going to be in day 2? And unfortunately, I just think that Grumpig is lacking 100 stat product. It's just... Tell me if you agree. It's just not bulky enough. And I think for that reason, it's going to be C tier for me. Maxwell, honestly, I understand, but Furret being able to resist Ghost is useful. It is really useful. It is one of few Pokemon that can have neutral play into most of the S and A tier, and probably B tier Pokemon. We're not seeing any... Look, if you look at this S tier, A tier, and B tier, is there anything that you're looking at and you're like, oh, I absolutely can't put Furret against that? There's not many. Right, there's not many, and that when you've got a meta like this where you could be punished, you need some of these flexible options. What do you mean Drap and Dilly? No, Furret is not that bad into them. Furret is really not that bad. Those sucker punches with Trailblazers add up, and then you can switch out and you can bank Swifts. If you get a farm down on a Sableye safe swap, right? Trailblaze, and then they come back in with a Cradily. That Cradily starts to get a bit uncomfortable, right? Because they don't really want to Bullet Seed down, and they're forced to waste 50 energy. So when we look at the Sableye Cradily core, which we'll talk about, a Furret can cause problems for it, right? Because the Furret punishes the ghosts better than most normals can. And that's the real difference between Furret and Diggersby. Diggersby's there doing 1 damage to a ghost type. Furret goes, I'm going to 1 shield, I'm going to Trailblaze, and I will Sucker Punch the whole way down. And there's a very reasonable chance that I can get my shield back with boosted damage into whatever comes back in. And I really wouldn't underestimate its potential to do that. I think people just forget what kind of attack Sucker Punch is. People just, I think, don't quite yet understand how good an attack Sucker Punch is. What's good about punishing ghosts when they're all in C tier? We haven't... Just you wait. We haven't got there. Yeah, we haven't got there yet. Okay, Guzzlord. What do we think about Guzzlord? Guzzlord, Dragon, and Dark typing. A, B, C? Guys, come on. Where are you putting Guzzlord? Is it always in top usage? Is Guzzlord always in top usage or medals? It's not, is it? Like, it's not. It might be, but it probably won't be. So I think B tier is probably right. I think Furret definitely won't be either. I genuinely think we will trend this season towards Furret being in that top 12. I think Furret will trend towards that top 12. Hey guys, I'm going to tell you a tech right now. Listen to this. There are certain Furret spreads that can pick up matchups versus Shadow Sableye and Wigglytuff, and I would invite your IV analysis to make sure you can pick up certain matchups with Furret. I do think it will become a top Pokemon. You can lose to Shadow Sableye if you forego a certain amount of bulk, because then you would be losing the zeros to 2 foul plays, right? So you can't give up too much bulk whilst you're IV hunting. So keep your bulk for Shadow Sableye, but you might be able to pick up certain other matchups. Why is my light turned off? You might be able to pick up certain other matchups if you play with the IVs a little bit. Okay, 1 sec. I'm just trying to work out where my light is plugged into. There we go. Okay, Team Gyarados, Have we been missing our F tier? Off you go, my friend. Off you go. You're only in this. You're only in this list to help out our F tier. Guys, it's F tier. It's F tier. Gyarados goes down to everything, right? Hippopotas. Hippopotas running Sand Attack, Body Slam, and Rock Tomb. Not running Dig. Not running Dig like it is on PvPoke. Hippopotas has play. But unless I'm bringing it, I don't think we'll really see it. Which is the problem. So could it even make D tier, even though its sims against the meta are pretty good? It has play. Right? It beats Shadow Drapion. It beats Clodsire. I'm trying to look for some other things it might beat, but I'm not seeing many. I have built my rank 1 Hippopotas. I did test it. I entered a practice tournament. I can let you guys know. Just leave it at home. Hippowdon? Any better? Is Hippowdon any better with Rock Tomb? With Weather Ball, with Scorching Sands? Does it make D tier? People have it built so D tier? No, surely not. Surely you're not bringing a Hippowdon. Surely you're never seeing a Hippowdon. But you might, so it's in the D tier. You might. Jellicent. What do we think about Jellicent? Hex with a big buff. Do we think Jellicent goes up? B tier, C tier? What do we think for Jellicent? Frequent day 2, you think, Maxwell? Frequent day 2? Not if Furret has anything to say about it! C tier for Jellicent. It will not be frequent day 2, alright? It will not be frequent day 2. Jumpluff, what do we think? Guys, I think Jumpluff could be sick. I think Jumpluff could be really strong. I think it could be really strong. I think Jumpluff... It wins the 1 straight acrobatics against Shadow Drapion. I think Jumpluff is, at minimum, an A tier Pokemon. At minimum. Jumpluff is strong. It can't be... You can't Bullet Seed down a Jumpluff, that's for sure. So, I think Shadow Jumpluff double flying moveset. Really potent. Shadow Jumpluff double flying moveset. Yeah. It's really good. I don't like it. I'm not going to personally want to use it, but I think it's very good. Lantern. Anywhere for Lantern? C tier for Lantern? No. I don't have the sprites for regular and Shadow, so we can just discuss them. I think that Shadow, we're ranking them based on where I think the better variant will place. I think that's a reasonable way to do this, and I think that the Shadow variant is probably better, and it makes A tier. I think Lantern is underrated every season at this point. Do you? I don't know. I think it's the same as Hippowdon in the sense that people have it, so you might see it, but it's almost never ever making day 2. Lapras. Guys, what do we think about Lapras? Because some people were losing their mind over Lapras. And since using it, some people are like, oh, I don't know. What do we think? What do we think about Lapras? Lots of calls for S tier. Lots of calls for S tier. Do you think it is S tier? Or is it A tier? Not S for sure. Is it S tier or is it A tier? It definitely, right, at minimum, is always top usage or a medal placement, right? But is it going to be top of the meta? Is it going to be so common that you're almost putting it into your team as the starting point for your team? As the starting point? Is it like, are you putting it in this, you know when you put Shadow Drapion in, or you think of a core and you're going, I'm putting this core in. Is Lapras that Pokemon for you? I think it is. I think it is. And so I'm going to put Lapras into S tier. Why is my light turned off again? I don't want people to look at this and just think I haven't really considered it. You know? That's all. Now be serious and move Clefable to S tier. Well. Leavanny. D tier? F tier? D tier? Probably D tier. Lickitung. No, I think you might see a random Leavanny just because the X-scissors can be really annoying, and the Leaf Blades against the Lapras and the Cradle. I think D tier is fine. Lickitung, I think, is also D tier. Linoon. What do we think of Linoon? Gallade is better than Leavanny? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No. Linoon. C or D? Guys, would you be running Linoon with Sand Attack or with Shadow Claw? Sand Attack or Shadow Claw? Tell me. What do you think it's going to run? And then I'll tell you what I think its placement is because of that. That is a trick question. Why the heck are you running Linoon? Run Furret. It's going in the D tier. Right, next. Low Kicks. What do we think of Low Kicks? Artemis F tier for Low Kicks? No. Cannot be an F tier Pokemon. Low Kicks looked so bad on the Vancouver stream. So, when you look at that S tier, do you not see the potential that Low Kicks has here? Do you not look at that S tier and go, hold on a minute, I can punish a Lapras. I can really punish a Lapras. What do you think? I think maybe controversial, but I think I'm going to put it in C tier because I do think that it is a unique typing that can cause problems. Machamp. What do we think about Machamp? Machamp. Does it even get into D tier? Probably, because it's a popular Pokemon. Would you ever use Machamp over Primeape? Maybe do we make an E tier for Machamp? For Hippowdon, Lantern, and Machamp? I don't think Machamp's ever useful, right? You're never using it over Primeape. Okay, Macargo. Guys, you don't even want to know how many Macargo I've lost to in GBL this season already. Just like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, I'm not expecting it. I'm like, okay, cool. I wonder what they've got. And I just get incinerated down. and then I just get rock tombed, and I'm stuck, and I can't hit it back, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Macago is so annoying, but it is just a D tier Pokemon. Maxwell, yeah, we don't have Hakamo. I would place it in high D tier, personally. I maybe could have included it in this list. I don't know if I can add it now. I don't think I can. I don't know how to add an image now. Can I choose a file? I don't know. I'd probably put it in D tier. If I press choose file, does it? Oh wait, one sec. Let me see if I can quickly add it in. Just for you guys. If I save... Uno momento, por favor. My light keeps turning off and that is annoying me. Okay, do we have Hakamo? Hakamo is in. I'm going to put it into D tier. Do you think it should be higher than D tier? I don't think so. I don't think so, but I do think because it can core break. You think it could be a C? Never top usage, rarely day 2. I think the idea of it is probably greater than the actual outcome. Just because, you know, even like a Sableye with Dazzling Gleam, you know, it's just sometimes when you're thinking about Hakamo, you just get annoyed at it, right? Like, imagine being a Hakamo and then the Jumpluff comes in. You're just like, oh, you've got other Pokemon on your team that are already weak to Jumpluff. It's difficult. You could see some guy core breaking 2 people to make day 2 and losing immediately. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, also the Psy Wave, remember, right? Pluff Wiggles, yeah. Okay, Magnezone. What do you think about Magnezone? Where's Magnezone going? Yeah. Yeah, D tier for Magnezone. Malamar? Does Malamar have more play with foul play being cheaper but weaker? Where's Malamar going? Where are we putting Malamar in this meta? Not only predicted Rise wins the tournament, and so we did. I didn't just predict Rise wins the tournament. Rise and I basically built the same team for that tournament. We both had exactly the same meta read for that tournament. Okay. B tier for Malamar. Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz. Minimum A. Is there argument for S? I don't think it can make S. But I do think it is better than B. Any disagreement? Am I being too kind? A is pushing it? A is pushing it, maybe? Rarely top usage but frequent day 2, or always top usage or a medal placement? Do you remember when Corsola was able to punish teams that didn't have a proper counter to it, right? If Drapion was the only counter to it, Corsola could punish. do you not think that Mandibuzz might be a safer response to some of the ghost coverage around? The problem is now that there are more ghosts that can dance around Air/Mandy. I think that if you're going to be weak to Rock Tomb, you probably want more threat than Mandibuzz can offer. I've heard you, chat, I've heard you, and I'm going to put Mandibuzz in B tier. I was going to put it in A tier, but I think you're probably right. B tier. Yeah, it does get hit pretty hard by Cradling. Okay, Alolan Marowak. This one received a Hex buff. No world you're getting higher than D tier. Do you even get it into D tier? Look, you're a fan favourite, so people will have you. And that's about it. That's about the only reason you're making D tier. Kanto Marowak. Where does Kanto Marowak go? Where does Kanto Marowak go? We've got a range from A to F for Kanto Marowak. I think Kanto Marowak is a B tier in this meta. And do you want to know why? It's because I played against Inadequance and he led Marowak into my Cradily and I beat him straight Rock Tomb. And the fact that Cradily can do that, all of my lights have turned off. The fact that Cradily can do that just means that Marowak doesn't have anywhere near the ability to degen Mudslap that it used to. One sec, I'm going to try and fix my lights. So I think the Mudslap age is not going to be quite as prominent as it was before, because the degen potential just isn't quite there. Pocket, you think Claydol's better than Kwak? Where's our Claydol? It's in C tier. Never top usage, rarely day 2, rarely top usage, frequent day 2. Guys, do you want to adjust that Claydol? Do we want to put Claydol up into B now that we've got some more reference points? Now that we've seen more of the Pokemon in S and A and B and C? Do we think that Claydol can be pushed into B as well? What do we think? The extra bulk and Rock Tomb is worth... What do you mean is worth the rock weakness? Ghost weakness, dark weakness. Guys, it has lots of weaknesses. Okay, it's also weak to bug. Golisopod can make mincemeat of it. Charger bug. Low kicks. Yeah, it beats it, but yeah. I'm looking at my Leavanny, my D-tier Leavanny. Guys, I don't know. I just... Oh, it's hard. Would I put Claydol into... Do I think Claydol will really, actually rise up? I think on average over the course of the season, it's just not going to frequently be in day 2. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh. Let's come back to it later. But I'm not sure it's going to frequently be in day 2. Medicham, on the other hand, controversial. I'm putting Medicham. D tier, guys. No. It's not. Medicham's good. Medicham is good. Medicham punishes Cradily. Like, really punishes Cradily. No, we're not talking about counter. We're talking about... Let's just give this some perspective. Dynamic Punch is now a clone of Psystrike. Yeah? Of Avalanche. And it's pacing to it straight 5. And it has the bulk to tank 2 attacks from a lot. And it cores really well with Wigglytuff. Medicham Wigglytuff core is strong. I think we will see teams lean into the bulk of Medicham. Particularly if Kangoro starts to become popular. Will it be frequent day 2? The thing is, Trip, between you and me, I think by the end of the season, yeah, I think Medicham is far more viable as your bulky psychic type than Claydol. Personally, I think it is. I think by the end of the season, if you're thinking, what bulky psychic type Pokemon do I want, if I want one? Do I want Claydol or do I want Medicham? There's a part of me that goes, I think it's Medicham. You don't know which mon could break that course, some Mudslap user, I guess? I mean, both Medicham and Wigglytuff are fine into Mudslap users, right? But what if we're using Claydol as our bulky slapper and not a psychic bulk? Yeah. Best quick move, Psycho Cut. So it'd be Psycho Cut at straight 5 to Dynamic Punch and 5-4 for Ice Punch, which has been buffed. And AWAC breaks that core. Yeah, AWAC does break that core. You don't think it has a good enough niche? It's a fighter that doesn't take super effective from Psywave, that has play back into flyers, like even Jumpluff, double super effective, that has super effective damage into Cradily, tanks a crunch pretty easily from Shadow Drapion and can hit it back just as hard with Dynamic Punch, hits Lapras pretty hard. You guys don't think by the end of the season Medicham can be good? You don't think over the course that we might see it frequently in day 2? What do you think? Yeah, it doesn't take super effective from Psywave. It has for alligator pacing, right? Let's not forget that. Let's not forget it is good. Can I just remind you, right? Dynamic Punch is now 2 damage per energy. Right? It's 45-90. That is a strong attack. That is a strong attack, and it is pacing straight 5 with over 2100 stat product. And if you're running a fighting type in your team, which fighting type are you running? If you want a fighter, if you want fighting coverage, what are your options right now? When you think, okay, what do I want to be able to hit with fighting coverage? Are my options Primate, Pangoro? Malamar Superpower? What are the fighting options? Am I leaning into non-stab Dynamic Punch from Dusk Noir? I don't know why all my lights are running out of battery. Someone's playing with the plugs, maybe. Dynamic Punch Grumpig? Non-stab Dynamic Punch Grumpig? I think the argument has been made for it to be a C tier. Okay. We'll put it in C tier now, but let it be known that by the end of the season, I think Medicham will be very popular. And there will be more argument for B tier. Mew, on the other hand, is going in the F tier. I've tried my absolute best to make it work. It's just useless. Mightyena, I'm going to put into D tier. Galarian Moltres, I think, is going into D tier alongside Bombardier. Morpeko. What do we think about Morpeko? B tier, C tier, D tier. What do we think? Morpeko has the ability to fully sweep teams. However, it's probably better at doing that in GBL. I think C tier is probably fair. Alolan Ninetales. What do we think about Alolan Ninetales? Can run Charm or Powder Snow and can run Buffed Dazzling Gleam or Psy Shock. I think it's not a particularly good Charmer. I think you'd rather have Wigglytuff. And I think if you're running Powder Snow, Lapras is just hurting you, right? I think there's maybe argument for C, but I'll put it in D for now. Pangoro! God, I'm losing my voice. Pangoro now has a niche against Psywavers. I think it is one of the best fighters. Until people realise that Medicham's better than you guys are letting them believe. But I think that the pacing of Pangoro is really strong. It can really take down a team. And it has some great resistances in this meta. And I do think we will see it frequently in Day 2. I think that's fair. I think you should build your Medicham. I think Medicham will be good. Pidgeot, on the other hand. Pidgeot, I don't think has benefited really in any way. I don't think it's really making Day 2. Piloswine. Piloswine, anyone? Is anyone bringing it? Is anyone going to bring Piloswine? I think D tier is probably fair, right? Poliwrath. Buff Dynamic Punch. Icicle Spear Stone Edge. I mean, maybe. I think Piloswine's just a bit tricky. In Great League. Poliwrath. Yeah, D tier as well. Primeape. Guys, I'm just going to say I'm putting Primeape into the B tier. I think Primate still has play. Still has a ton of play. And when you're able to Rage Fist through a team, I think you need to be respecting a Primate. Quagsire. Quagsire. Is it making day 2? If so, how frequently? I think that it's not frequent enough to be B tier. I'm going to put it in C tier. Registeel. D. Yeah. I think that's right. Roserade. Guys, Roserade has potential. Roserade could be really good. I just need someone to use it well. Roserade has insane pacing. I think I really, really like it, but I know that I would be biased if I put it higher than D. Because the chances are you're going to struggle to build a team of 6 with it as your grass type, because you just would rather have Cradley. Or if you're wanting a fire weakness fortress, and I think that even though I think it's really good, this is a show 6 tier list, and I just think it's rarely going to be day 2 because you just would rather use some other options. Okay, Runarigus. What do you think about Runarigus? D tier. I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you. We all know. Sablei's back. Sablei's back. It cores unbelievably well with Cradley. Sableye is going into my S tier. I think that the Cradley-Sableye pair is so strong. And I think that I would be running Shadow, Sableye with Dazzling Gleam. I think that this will be one of the best cores. And even if it doesn't go with a Cradley and you want to pair it with something else that's weak to fighting, I think that you can start to build teams that are so strong. If Dilly Sab is S, then Goro has to be A. No, hold on a minute. Sableye can one-shot a Pangoro. It's not walled by a Pangoro anymore, right? Right? Pangoro is in the B tier because this is your top of the meta. And if they weren't top of the meta, it'd be C tier or D tier, right? Like it was last season. And I would play high. Personally, I would play high bulk Sableye. I definitely wouldn't be trying to play a CMP game if I can avoid it. So you don't want to go. You might want a tiny bit of attack, but I'm definitely not wanting to sacrifice too much bulk, because now that you pace quickly to your attacks, you'd rather just reach more attacks, right? You'd rather just reach more attacks, and you do need a little bit of bulk for that. So high bulk if possible. But a tiny bit of attack, yeah, just because the charge attack priority event could be common. And the more common it gets, then you might start to shift towards slightly higher attack. But that's just the way it works, right? You slowly rise. Okay, let me give you an example. For Alligator, you started with high bulk, you slowly rose because everyone was running for Alligator, you wanted to win charge attack priority. Then you got to a point where such high attack for Alligator got exposed because then it was losing to Malamar or whatever it was, and everyone suddenly shifts back down to high bulk. So you might have something like that here. And Sableye and Cradley I think will be really strong, but Sableye can pair with so many things, right? Even just looking at that top meta, and you could put a lot of them together, and then you could probably throw some counters to Pangoro in there, and you've got a reasonable team already. But Sableye is more expensive to build, yes. Okay, Alolan Sandslash. Guys, would you run Alolan Sandslash now with Shadowclaw, with Lapras being common? Shadowclaw Alolan Sandslash, I think, has play. I don't know if I would put it in B tier. The reason I'm not going to put it in B tier is because it shares weaknesses that I would rather have on my Lapras or on my Cradily. And so I'm going to put it into C tier, but I would shift towards Shadowclaw. Have you seen the drill run damage onto a Lapras? Yeah, Lapras is tanky. Okay, Superior. Superior, I think, is between A and B for me. What do you guys think? I don't think it's always top usage or a medal, and so I'm going to put it into B tier. Skeledirge. Guys, Skeledirge with Torch Song can sweep teams. It is strong. But the meta is not hugely kind for it. And that makes it tricky. Right? Thanks very much, Daniel. Welcome in, team. Welcome in, everyone, from Daniel's stream. Hope you guys had a good stream. You got to see some heavy damage. We're doing a tier list of the Might and Mastery season. This is where we're at so far, right? If there's anything you heavily disagree with, guys, then let me know. Berserker should be S tier. That is. I can't argue with that. It's very difficult to argue. Berserker. Wait, hold on a minute. Berserker actually looks pretty good against that top of the meta there. It's resisting all of Cradley's attacks. It's resisting Poison Stings. It's resisting Psywave. Hey, maybe Berserker is a spice pick that you guys need to consider. Guys, I think I'm going to put Skeledirge into C tier for now. But I want you guys to try it out. Because Torch Song has the same pacing as Fly, right? The same pacing as Disarming Voice. And I think that someone, somewhere, will use Skeledirge to... So you've got your meta, then you've got your anti-meta designed to beat the meta, and I think that Skeledirge could end up beating a lot of the anti-meta. And I think that you could really, really benefit from something that resists ice, resists fighting. It has a host of resistances that are really useful. And I think that someone will... I definitely think Skeledirge will get a medal this season. I just don't know if it's going to be frequent day 2 or rare day 2. I'll put it in C tier for now, but I really want to emphasize that Torch Song Skeledirge is strong. Okay, God, I might have to zoom out a bit where this is getting a little bit big. Okay, we're now down to Spiritomb. Guys, Spiritomb's strong. Spiritomb's really strong. The only thing letting Spiritomb down for me is that its first pacing is a little bit slow. And that's the only reason I don't think it's making A tier for me. But I think it is B tier. I think it's B tier. And that is because it can degen through a lot of Pokemon. You can degen through a Sableye. You can degen through, obviously, a Lapras, right? You can, and I think that there are certain players that might just like that ability to sucker punch straight through. I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it in day 2. You don't think it'll be frequent in day 2? Why would you use it over Sableye? Well, Sableye is obviously getting resisted by normals, for example. Like Furret, the goat, and it doesn't quite have the same sucker punch down into a rock tomb, right? We talked about Diggersby, right? We talked about Diggersby. Now, let's remember that just because I put this tier list out, right? Just because I say that Diggersby's C tier, doesn't mean that at the next event people aren't going to just play Diggersby, because they know Diggersby. They're like, oh, Diggersby, I want some bulk, I want a normal, I'm going to put Diggersby. Sableye into Diggersby is not great, but Spiritomb into Diggersby is an example of something that you can really punish. And I think that Spiritomb... I just think you guys are sleeping on Sucker Punch, right? You weren't confident about Furret, you're not comfortable with Spiritomb, but if the name of their attack was counter, I think you'd view it very differently. We're in a Ghost meta, and Spiritomb doesn't take super effective from Ghost and is super effective and basically beats almost all other Ghosts. Do you kind of see what I mean? That's why I think it's just a bit higher than C tier. I don't think it's going to be rare. I don't think it's going to be rare to see Spiritomb in Day 2. People might try triple Rock Tomb teams, you never know. Okay, Starmie. Starmie, does it make it into D tier? Does it make it into D tier for Starmie? I think it makes it into D tier. It's still usable, right? It's still viable. Steelix. Steelix has just won 2 gold medals. Yesterday, it won 2 gold medals. Where's Steelix going in this new meta? I don't think it's going to be frequently Day 2. I don't think it's going to be almost never Day 2. We need some Steel presence. I think Steelix in C tier is fair. Univan Stunfisk. Discharge was nerfed, but Univan Stunfisk does have a unique profile. What do we think? Is it going to make Day 2s? What are you targeting? What are you targeting with Stunfisk? When we're looking at this meta, what are we targeting with Stunfisk? Golisopod? I mean, Golisopod can hit it back. Shadow Drapion doesn't lose all shield scenarios to a Stunfisk. It is an RPS driver in my mind. The question for me is it enough to put it into C tier? Is it playable enough to put it into C tier? People really shouldn't use it, but some will. That is exactly how I feel about it. I want to put it into D tier. Almost never Day 2, agreed, but occasional Day 1. Agreed. Guys, I think that if you're looking for anti-flyers, go for a Rock Tomb user and maybe some ice coverage on something else. I don't think Stunfisk is the play. Swalot, on the other hand. Ice Beam with Sludge and very, very good bulk. Can it make C tier? Do we think Swalot can make C tier? What do you guys think? Swalot, can it make C tier? Is there a bias for Swalot? Sergio, Joe. I don't quite think we're going to see it make Day 2 that frequently. I think. Yeah, it core breaks the Azumarill Drapion core that just fell away. Maxwell. Okay, I'm going to put it in D tier. I would love for someone to go and prove us wrong and go and take Swalot straight into day 2. Okay, Swampert is a tricky one, guys, and the reason why I think Swampert is tricky is because I think Swampert is one of those key Pokemon that will support a potential transition from old meta to new meta by core breaking Drapion Azumarill, but I don't think Drapion Azumarill is going to be common for enough of the season for Swampert to have the same amount of play as it would have if you included it in isolation into last season. And so for that reason, I think that it won't make the top usage that it could have made, and is probably C tier. Especially when the main grass that it might want to go up against doesn't take super effective from the sludge. And you may as well just throw Hydro Cannons into the Cradley, right? It's not even doing super effective damage back, and Jumpluff is very bulky. Though 2 sludges can take out Jumpluff, but I don't know. I think Gastrodon is probably the best Mud Boy right now. Talonflame, on the other hand. Guys, where's Talonflame going? Talonflame, I think we can agree, is minimum B. But is it an A tier Pokemon is my question to you. A for sure? How does Talonflame... Tell me Talonflame's matchups into our S tier. How are its matchups into Cradley, Shadow Drapion, Lapras, and Sableye? You'd run Flame Charge? Would you run Flame Charge? It wins against Lapras with a small energy lead. We know it wins against Jumpluff, but Jumpluff is now running Acrobatics, which can hit back. Clodsire is going to be running Stone Edge. What would you guys have ranked Talon in last season's meta, and has it improved since, says Zwilus? Which I think is a very fair question. I want to put it in A. I know it's going to win an event. I'm putting it in A tier. I think that Talonflame is the best Charm Resist in the meta. And I think because Wigglytuff is good, I think it's the best Charm Resist. I think Clodsire and Talonflame are the best Charm Resists we've got right now. And both of them offer different team compositions, right? You can't just rely on Clodsire as your Charm Resist. Togetic. What do we think about Togetic? Yeah, I think Togetic's C tier. It's rarely going to make day 2, but it's reasonable. It's reasonable. Toxapex. C tier for Toxapex? Yeah, probably C. Just about. Low C. I agree with low C. Shadow Typhlosion. We know that Shadow Typhlosion can sweep. I don't think it's as good as Skeledirge. I'm going to put it in D tier. Umbreon. Umbreon has had a foul play nerf, arguably, for Umbreon. I think Umbreon stays in D tier. I think let's wait for Umbreon to maybe one day get Sand Attack or something. Venusaur. You're going to see them. But I think that it's very much stuck in D. Venusaur needs Sludge, yeah. Welmer. Guys, where's Welmer going? Does Welmer get into D tier or is it in F tier? What do we think? It's a strictly worse Blastoise. I think it's an F tier. I think just leave it at home. Because I don't even think occasional day one is like, it would be a meme pick, I think. And that isn't enough for me to say occasional day one as a meme pick, because like you're going to face an 1100 CP Staryu or something, you know, potentially. So that's not quite what I mean by occasional day one. Galarian Weezing. It resists Charm. It double resists Fighting. I think Galarian Weezing has a lot of play, but I don't think it's going to be always top usage. But I do think we'll see it around. So I think I'll put it here. Whiscash, we're putting it into D. What's it weak to? It's weak to Psychic and to Ground and to Steel. We have Jellicent here. It's the pink Jellicent in C tier. Whiscash I'm putting into D tier. And Wigglytuff, where are we putting it? Guys, where's Wigglytuff? Is Wigglytuff going to be top meta? No, I don't think. I don't think it's quite enough to be top. I think it's got a ton of play, but I think A tier is fair. I think A tier is fair. Is it always top usage? Actually, now that I'm looking at it, is it always top usage? Always top usage? Or rarely top usage, but frequent day 2? Now I'm torn. Would I play Wigglytuff? I mean, I personally wouldn't want to, but like, I would. Like, it's... You have to, right? You have to have a normal type on your team. You have to have a normal type because Sableye is going to be so popular. But is it always going to be top usage? Will you be seeing Wigglytuff on that top 12 chart, on that top 12 graphic? Will you always see it? Is where I'm a bit... Is where I'm a bit torn. At least 80% of the time? Okay. I'm going to leave Wigglytuff in A tier just because you have fighting weaknesses for Lapras, for Cradily, because Sableye doesn't usually want to see Dark, and Wigglytuff very much does want to see Sableye. And I think without Wigglytuff, Sableye might become too strong, such that lots of players, particularly those that just enjoy a hard response to a safe swap, will want Wigglytuff. So I think Wigglytuff can stay A for now. Zapdos is going in D because Emolga exists. This is your final chance, team, to let me know if there's any other Pokemon that you think that we should very reasonably be considering here. Is there anything else that you think that that I'm missing out. For anyone that needs a quick catch-up, by the way, I'm going to do it. Pay attention, I'm going to do a very quick refresh of the shadows versus non-shadows here. This is my opinion on what you should run. Cradily, non-shadow. Drapion, either. Shadow Drapion if you're going for slightly more offensive. Regular Drapion if you need to resist Psywave. I still think Shadow Drapion's damage output might just tip the scales. Lapras, regular. Psywave doesn't reach enough breakpoints with a Shadow that I think that Shadow Lapras is better, and so you'd rather have the regular bulk. Sableye, Shadow, you're pacing so quickly, you want to just deal damage as fast as you can. Jumpluff, Shadow, double flying. Blastoise, I think you can go both. I like the Shadow, but I think you can go both. Dusclops, I think the Shadow has a little bit better damage output, and you probably want that. For Alligator, Shadow. Fortress, I'd personally go regular. Marowak, Shadow. Primeape, there's been an argument for both. I personally like Shadow. Galarian Weezing, if you have it, Shadow. Annihilate, probably not using it anyway, but Shadow if you are. Bastiodon, it doesn't matter. What else have we got? Cresselia, non-Shadow. Diggersby. Non-Shadow. Dusknoir, Shadow. Sorry, Superior up there was... Superior is regular as well. Grumpig, if you've got it, run Shadow, but regular's fine. Quagsire, probably Shadow. Sandslash. Non-Shadow, maybe. I would need to check that again. Are you missing Spiritomb? Spiritomb's here in B tier at the moment. Why is Diggersby in C tier? Because I don't think it's going to be top usage, and I think it's rarely going to make day 2 going forwards. Steelix, I would go Shadow. Swampert, I would go Shadow. I'm not going to bother going through the D tier because ideally you're not really using them anyway. Anyone disagree with any of that? Is Miltank in the tier list? I mean, what are you bringing Miltank? What are you targeting with Miltank when Azumarill's gone? Miltank would probably be F tier. Palossand would also be F tier. You can run Ice Beam. I mean, yeah, but then you're losing your Lapras coverage. Walrein. Oh yeah, okay, we can place Walrein. Let me add those in. Okay. We're adding in Walrein. We're adding in Miltank. Anything else you want me to add? Last orders. Oh, oh my goodness, I've forgotten Ferrothorn. Yes, I do want that in. Thank you. Hold on a minute, let me go through these. Bastiodon honestly looking kind of nice, beating all of the S and A tier Pokemon besides Cloud. Jason, for the record, I originally put Bastiodon in B tier because I thought that come the end of the season it could frequently be making day 2s, but I can understand that it's probably C tier. It only really works when it's anti-meta, so that doesn't quite work if it were meta. Scrafty. Yeah, okay, I can find Scrafty. Scrafty. What else? I'm not doing Jirachi. Gliscor. Do I have to? I guess I can do Gliscor. I mean, all I'm doing is just adding Pokemon to put into the D tier at this point. Charizard. Oh yeah, I should probably get Charizard in. I'm not doing Vigoroth, Skarmory. There's so many Pokemon. Frostlass, Shadow Grimer, Chestnut. Sorry, I do want Chestnut. I do want Chestnut in here. That is a good one. Cacturn. No. That is not having show 6 viability. It's time to bunk Clay. Okay, we'll talk about Claydol in a minute. We've got Magnezone, we've got Shadow Golurk, Togedemaru, no. Whimsicott, no. Florges is better. Heatran, no. Licky Licky's was never alive. Shadow Girafarig, no. Aurorus, guys, you're just giving. We've got Arctibax. Otherwise, you're just giving me D tier Pokemon to add. Oranguru, Alolan Raticate. I could add these, but just. How do I filter by recent to add these? Okay, what did we say? We said Chestnut. We said Ferrothorn or Ferrothorn. What else did I say I was adding? I can't remember what sprites I downloaded. Walrein. Did I add anything else? Gliscor. Ilum, how are we doing? Okay, I'm going to put Chestnut into C tier because I think that it has play. Is that alphabetical? H-I-J-K-L, yep. Ferrothorn, I'll also put into C tier. Walrein. Into D tier, Gliscor into D tier. Trying to do the alphabet. I'm struggling. Anything else? Did I forget? We've got Greninja. Greninja is up in. Where did I put Greninja? Greninja's here in C tier. Typhlosion is down in D tier. Klefki we're not doing. Did we forget about Drampa? Fine. I'm downloading so many of these assets that I will literally never use again. Okay, we've got Drampa. Thanks, Sergio. Alolan Raticate. Okay, that's fair. Nope, that's normal Raticate. Okay, Alolan Raticate, we're getting in. Where are we putting Alolan Raticate? Joking, it's D tier. Anything else? I'm not doing Pachirisu, I'm not doing Rotom, I'm not doing Galarian Darmanitan, I'm not doing Regirock. Dashbun, yeah, I can do Dashbun. Anything else? Decidui. Like, we're not using these in Show 6, right? We've got Bombardier. Cabalion and Verizian are not eligible. Ampharos, Cacturn. Oh my goodness. Okay, one sec. Ampharos. I mean, are any of these going anywhere other than D tier? Like, do we have to keep picking more D tier Pokemon? Look, we've got enough D tier Pokemon. I'm not adding more D tier Pokemon. If someone gives me a suggestion that I think wouldn't be in the D tier, then I'll add it. How about that? Yeah. Otherwise, these are just all D tier at this point. Okay. The question now, team. What about Pikachu? They should buff Pikachu somehow. Okay. My question now is Claydol a C tier or a B tier Pokemon? And I'm going to create a poll, all right? I'm not necessarily going to abide by it, okay? I'm not promising anything, but I'm going to put it to a poll. Do you think Claydol, where should Claydol go? And I'm going to put it up for a few minutes. And I'm going to be very clear. Okay, I'm going to be very clear. The question is it frequently day 2? Or rarely day 2? Okay, I want you to think about that. I don't want you to just think B tier, C tier. I want you to think, is it frequently in day 2? Or is it rarely in day 2? Emolga is in B tier. It's in between Dusclops and Feraligatr. This is currently all alphabetical, by the way. All of the tiers, it's alphabetical within the tier. They're not ranked within. They're not ranked within the tier. Yeah, but this is why yeah, exactly, Ilan. Good, exactly. For the purposes of my tier list, I want you to answer whether it is frequently in day 2 or rarely in day 2. Cradley's best moveset is Bullet Seed, Grass Knot, Rock Tomb. And I would personally run non-Shadow. What are we thinking? Is Claydol frequently in day 2 or rarely in day 2? This is key. You don't think 27 total Pokemon should be in the frequently day 2 or higher? Wait, so Jason, you think fewer than 27 Pokemon can frequently make day 2? Surely. Surely that number's not unreasonable. If we were to look at a a day 2 Dracoviz graphic, for example, I don't think 20 to 30 different Pokemon is do you think that that's unreasonable? What do you reckon? Quillfish? Is this Chani Gino? I don't think you're really bringing Quillfish because it's weak to the Psy-Wave damage, right? Is Furret really this busted? I think maybe low A tier, high B tier is arguable. I just think that when you look at that top of the meta, it's just super neutral into it. And I think that as ghost types rise, as Sableye becomes prominent, I think that it is a good normal type Pokemon if you don't want to run Wigglytuff. If you don't want to be weak, if you don't want to pick up that fairy defensive typing, what other normal type Pokemon are you going to? Are you saying that if you want to run normal, you have to run Wigglytuff? Because there's no other normal type in B tier, is there? So you're basically saying Wigglytuff or nothing? No, surely you got to go for it. Surely you realise that the Sucker Punch Trailblaze potential is strong. What do we think? Are there any arguments, any major contentions? The poll is currently still leaning towards Claydol staying where it is. What about Driftblim? Driftblim is down in D tier. I think Driftblim's down in D tier because there are just better ghosts available. There's been a little bit of argument over. I'll tell you what there's been a bit of argument over, guys. Furret, Talonflame, which some people think that Talonflame could be S tier. Furret, some people say should be B tier. Wigglytuff, some people say should be S tier. And then if we go down into the B tier, I think most of those people are comfortable with. Some people don't think Spiritomb will be as common because they think that Sableye is better. If we look down into the C tier, some people say Claydol should be higher. I think the rest of C tier is reasonable. Maybe Togetic is maybe higher than it needs to be. Ariados is in C tier. Typhlosion is in D tier. Can we consider Diggersby in B tier considering Scorching Sands debuff flipping some matchups? What are you using Diggersby? Where have I put Diggersby? It's in C tier. What are you using Diggersby for? It loses to Crazily. It isn't even that reliable against Drapion. It loses to Lapras. It's doing 1 damage to Sableye, so it's not even able to take down a Sableye that easily. Yes, it's beating Clodsire, it's losing to Furret, it loses to Jumpluff, it loses to Talonflame, it's decent into Wigglytuff. Does it beat Ghosts? Not really. No. Doesn't beat Dusclops, doesn't beat Dusknoir. Doesn't beat Spiritomb. I think that Diggersby's ground subtyping is going to let it down in the next meta. And I think that that's why over the course of the season, we probably won't see it that much in day 2. And if you need a normal type, you probably go to Wigglytuff or Furret. If you need a ground type, you're probably going towards your Shadow Kanto Marowak, your Clodsire, and probably, as some people are saying, Claydol before Diggersby. I think Dugong also completely drops off. Its pacing is now too slow, it's no longer the premium debuffer, it can be hard-walled by Golisopod, and a lot of the spammy Pokemon can deal damage, shield, and switch out too easily. So I don't think Dugong is going to be a frequent day 2 anymore. Lapras is the optimum water-ice type. Chargebug is the best electric type. Chargebug, yeah, probably. Emolga's in the picture as well. Chargebug can be an annoying core breaker, I think. Okay. Guys, I think we're happy. I think I am happy with this tier list. I won't lock it in yet. Lapras with Beam or with Bash? Well, this is what's interesting. The more people that run Lapras, the more people will switch to Skull Bash, and then the more free Jumpluff is. So we'll see. We'll see. Ice Beam super effective against Cradley, remember. But if everyone runs Ice Beam, then suddenly Lapras walls Lapras energy, and so some people shift to Skull Bash. Ice Beam is legacy, so if you're not sure, test Skull Bash first. How about that? Speaking of which, guys, I want to show you something really quickly. Let's see if this works. If I go over to this screen, and I've got some Snorlax outside. And I go onto my Lapras. Let's just go on to, this is my Great League. No, that's not even my Great League Lapras. This is my Great League Lapras. Oh, it's no longer future because I did get Skull Bash on it. But if I now go into Pokedex and I click Battle, I can now scroll down and I can see my type effectiveness, my fast attacks, and I can also see which attacks are available via Elite TM and which ones are available without an Elite TM. This has just been added to the game. This is a really nice quality of life addition. So make sure to take advantage. Don't be cycling through normal TMs without just double checking. Is that an Elite TM move? Let me just double check. It was so easy. You can go onto the Pokemon. You press your menu, you press Pokedex, you press Battle. Easy as that, okay? Don't be lazy. It's right there. So give that an option. And do you know what else you can do, okay? For some of you that go, hold on a minute, Freed's telling me that Furret's really good and I don't have a Furret. Well, what you can do is you can click onto the Pokedex entry for the Pokemon that you're trying to get the spawn of, let's say Centric, and you can now turn an alert on. Okay, and this alert will notify you when that Pokemon is nearby. If you want to do that for XL Candy, for anything else, for trading, whatever it is, you can turn on an alert for one Pokemon. So a couple of quality of life additions that came into the Pokedex today, which I think is pretty cool. Guys, I think otherwise, let's go back. And I think we are basically locking in this as our tier list. I think it's fair. I think we've got a good balance of some controversial placements, some bold predictions, and if anyone wants this, I will download this tier list and I will post it on X within the next hour or so. And then you can just save that. Pin it on your wall. Yeah. Before we go, I want you to tell me, is there anything, write down in chat right now, write down in chat, is there anything here that you absolutely disagree with? Dragalgi's in D tier. Is there anything, if you want to take away, if you said, I have the opportunity to change this tier list, right? If you had the opportunity to change this tier list, but you were only allowed to make one change, write in chat, what would that change be? Right? What would that one change be? Bastiodon to B tier. Claydol going up. Pangoro and Primeape in the same tier seems weird. Primeape, it has perfect offensive coverage. Ghost and Fighting is unresisted. Pangoro, that dark typing could be really, really important. So the defensive properties of the dark typing make Pangoro really interesting. I know it seems crazy to talk about a 1600 stat product mon in terms of its defensive properties, but when you're taking 1 damage from Psywave, when you're double resisting Sucker Punch, when you're resisting Crunch and these types of things, then it's actually that dark typing that is putting Pangoro up into the B tier. Steelix in B. Frequent Day 2, I don't know about Frequent Day 2 for Steelix. Morpeko, I think, is better in GBL than it is in Play Pokemon. And I think that has been the story of its existence in this game. Primeape, I think, has the ability to sweep teams, right? Let's remember that Cradily, Shadow Drapion, Lapras can all basically be one-shot by Primeape. Shadow Sableye can, it still takes a decent chunk of damage from Primeape. Primeape can degen through a Clodsire. It can beat Furret. It can beat Talonflame. It can beat Azumarill. It can beat Blastoise. Like Primeape is strong. Primeape is still strong. Alolan Raticate C tier. Alolan Raticate. Are we talking about Quick Attack Raticate? Are we talking about Alolan Raticate with Quick Attack? because that's resisted by Cradily. It's going to get mauled by a Wigglytuff. But it does resist Ghost and Dark. And it is bulky. Okay. Alolan Raticate in C tier. Are double weak to fighting, but fighting's going down. Okay, I can. Can I see it making day 2s here and there? Like a one-off, sure, but like, is it deserving of the same tier as Claydol, for example? Would there not be Outroar if we have Claydol and Alolan Raticate in the same tier? You would put Talon in B tier. Is it deserving of the same tier as Lokix? I don't think so. I think Lokix is strong. I think Lokix X's are super effective against Cradily. The X's are strong against the Shadow Drapion. It doesn't really want to be taking much, especially if it's boosted. Can maul through a Lapras, beat Sableye. I've been using Lokix in GBL and it's been pretty strong. If you look at that B tier, Lokix has a reasonable amount of play into a lot of the B tier, as well as the S tier that we just mentioned. Not many things resist ground. Remember, it's a dark type that's not weak to fighting, right? It's not actually weak to fighting, and also because there's no counters, there's mostly just Karate Chops, then the Karate Chop pressure is not that high against a Lokix. It resists Night Slash from the Pangoro. I think you can be convinced of Melmetal? What? No. I mean, I guess someone somewhere will probably run Melmetal, won't they? So do we just want to add Melmetal into our D tier? Yeah, we will. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Take your screenshots if you want it, but I will post it on X this evening. I might add one or two things in here. Alolan Raticate, same tier as Melmetal. What is this? Fine. There we go. Alolan Raticate. I'm sorry, but if Alolan Raticate's going into C, I do have to put Claydol up into B. Happy? Right, guys. I'm gonna love you and leave you, okay? I think that we've done a good job. I think that we've got a pretty good tier list here. So I think we should be very pleased with ourselves. Yeah? We can discuss Show 6 teams another time. This was just the tier list stream. I will post this into Discord. I will post this onto X. I might add a couple of random other Pokemon here and there, probably in D tier, just in case anyone messages, especially in Discord. If you message in Discord that you'd want me to add anything, just so that it's on there, like Venomoth, Shadow Venomoth, for example, then sure, we can do that.
Surely we can't lose any games with this.
Right, I'm going to raid Aiden, Hot Pocket. So thank you very much, team. I will see you soon. We'll actually play some more GBL. But otherwise, remember to either save down this tier list from Discord or from X. I will post it in an hour or an hour and a bit. at least. Otherwise, let's go and raid Pocket, say hi from me, or enjoy the rest of your afternoons, evenings, and I'll see you guys all very, very soon. So, thanks, guys. Goodbye.
Yo!